Representative Speaker Moore, that if we could get a committee set up with both sides, a bipartisan committee, to stay on top of this? Could we not do that?
We could. We only have 14 days. So.
I know, but I mean, well, the committee could work hard to, you know, and keep on top of it and report back. I mean,
yeah, I think that was actually one of the requests in the session.
It sure was.
well, I'm not talking about station, I'm talking about here, and, you know, today. But go ahead. I didn't think that in there, but
Okay. You know, some of the information that's been communicated on when we need to move forward with an exchange is the fact that if not, the federal government will take over in the state of Arkansas. And I understand that process. Tell me specifically, what if the state runs this exchange? What is different? What are we going to do unique to Arkansas as opposed to the bill that was presented in the session, which was the exact mirror of the federal legislation? So what's changed now in the last several months? What are we going to do?
What the feds will tell you is that we want the states to design an exchange that fits the needs, the mores, the customs of that state. That's the official word. We can take it for what we want to take it for, okay? And so that's why they're giving us all this planning money to listen and do the things that we're doing to hopefully that it would work for Arkansas. And it is a fact that Arkansas, you know, you all know this, we only have half the people in the state that are hooked in technically. Well, you go to Massachusetts, everybody's hooked in. And they got 90% in their exchange. It's not the way it is here in Arkansas. So it does make sense to tailor this. That's why that navigator thing is so important. That's why those agents are so important, those local agents. So all of that. And then yes, the reason, and I hate to be, you know, I just believe this so much, is that we will have day-to-day input and regulatory authority. And when I say regulatory authority, that means everybody in this room has that authority. That's not, you know, the commissioner is. And so that is so important. And that's why you see these insurance companies that are waking up all of a sudden and saying, heck, we've got to have local. They want to be able to go to the member of the legislature and say, we have a position, your regulator is not listening to it, would you pull them to the committee or get them over here and make sense? They want a shot at that through our process. You go federal, we all know about that. I mean, it's a very complex system. So really all we're trying to do is keep you all in the decision-making process now and let you make the final decision when it's cut off. So that's where, and there's so many outside influences, Representative, that could happen. We all know what they are. I already alluded to the outside influences, U.S. Congress, national politics. I want to be, or we can sit in this room and you all can make the final decision for Arkansas. That's just it. And the thing about, we're not going to ask, the government's not asking anybody in this room to commit for an exchange. I think all he wants to know is that we have support to study it and make a final decision so we can stay in control. I'm not going to ask, I think you would never, I'm not speaking for you, but there's a lot of people in this room that would never agree to that. We're not asking for that agreement. So, you know, that we would have an exchange, we're going to do it today. It's not necessary. It's not necessary to ask for that now.
Well, I'm not sure I wouldn't agree to it. In fact, I kind of believe in exchanges. I'm not sure, though, that I have enough information on what we're doing that is, so far, what is unique in Arkansas. Because, you know, I'm trying to understand that, as opposed to the federal program. Well, you know, that concerns me that we don't know that this issue's been around for some time. And I would expect that your department studies this, and there's been states that's moved forward or has studied this process. So we should know some of those things that are going to be unique in Arkansas. I mean, how do we sell this to the people in our district if we don't even know what's different about the federal program? Because that's what's being used, saying, look, we don't do this, the federal's going to come in. Okay, well, is that a bad thing, maybe? I don't know, because I don't know what the state's going to do yet.
I think the big difference would be that if we had an Arkansas exchange and the governance body was set in Arkansas, that governance body within state and federal law would make the policies versus federal policies. So we haven't determined what exactly all the pieces would be. I mean, there are some major policy decisions yet to be made because we don't even have a board at this point. We haven't decided we're going to have an Arkansas exchange. So there are decisions that it's premature to make now. Plus the federal regulations, the proposed regs are not final. We have one set that recommendations or responses are due later this month. We are collecting those. If anybody wants to send those, just send. There will be another set with November responses, and by the end of the year, the federal policy should be set. So it's really premature for us to know exactly what it would look like in Arkansas, but we are committed to flavoring it to best serve our people, give an opportunity to do that.
Did you have any information that the federal government may in fact move these dates back?
I was at a meeting last week, and what they said was we would like to know either way by April 12th, because we don't think you can put the systems in place if you don't know you're going to do it by April 12th. They did say, as they've been putting out, that they would allow states that didn't go state to come back and do that in years to come. But we would lose all the money to erect it by doing that. So I don't know that if we don't do it, we would decide to do it later. There is no indication that they are going to move the dates. In fact, there's firm reporting by the feds that it will start January 1/14. Enrollment will start October 1/13, whether it's state or federal. So no, they have not given leniency, including on the June 12 level 2 application date. And that was as of last week. And I have another grantee meeting there Monday and Tuesday.
But okay, so there's an indication though that we would have another opportunity, even if those dates held, we'd have another opportunity to come back and establish a state-based exchange.
They say that it's an opportunity. I think it would be very difficult for us to do that.
Do you have an opinion on that based on the fact that not many states have adopted this so far?
I think that 10 have legislation and a few more have other means of authority. I know that as of last week, 90% of states, and Arkansas was not one of that 90%, plan on a state exchange by report of their state. That was from National Governors Association poll. The question is how